After years of waiting, Hogwarts Legacy is finally coming out on February 10th, 2023, across all console and PC. And now that we have the pre-orders available and also all of the latest news out there, it's really unlikely it won't be delayed once again. And honestly, at least in my opinion, the game looks amazing. Everything we have seen is making me so excited. If you're not sure if this game is gonna be a fit for you, don't hesitate to check the playlist in the video description below or at the end of the video for all of my other Hogwarts Legacy videos. But now the key question for this video that we're gonna answer is, which version should you buy? Should you pre-order or not? Should you buy it on your PS5 or on your PC or something else? Don't worry, I got you covered. We're going to review exactly in this video what each of the version, each of the console is bringing, and of course I'll share my thoughts on which to get. So first of all, there are three different versions: the standard, the deluxe, and the collector edition. There's also some differences between like physical and digital and those type of things, and of course I'll cover that, don't worry. First, the standard version. Well, to be honest, basically with this standard version you get the game. That's it. Simple and probably enough actually for most people. So now moving to the second one, the deluxe edition. On top of the standard, on top of the game, you get two new things. First of all, you get 72-hour early access to the game. This means instead of waiting for the 10th of February, you can start playing on the 7th of February, 3 days before. To be honest, I don't love that they did that because basically it means, the game is ready on the 7th, but they still make you wait until the 10th for most people. But it's actually definitely very smart. I know a lot of people that already said they're gonna buy the upgrade to deluxe just for that. And of course, myself being a YouTuber, if I want to get the news out, if I want to get gameplay and tutorial and guides to all of you as soon as possible, 3 days in advance is obviously great. On top of that, in this deluxe edition, you get the Dark Art pack, which includes a Testral mount, a Dark Art cosmetic set, which is what you basically see on this lovely person here on the screen. And lastly, you get the Dark Arts Battle Arena, which, to be honest, we didn't get all of the details about, but I guess will be sort of a training place, maybe an underground tournament where you can use dark art spells, while maybe on the normal battle area you won't be able to use those spells. And it's worth noting that everything in this dark arts pack, you cannot get them without buying the pack. Let's take, for example, the Tethral mount. It's not as if you could get it in the game after 10 hours, and if you buy the pack, you get it right away. No, if you don't buy the pack, you'll never get it. And finally, we have the collector edition. So you get the deluxe, meaning you have the 72 early access, you have the dark arts pack, and on top of that, you get a life-size floating wand and a bookcase. So you have basically the book on the floor and the wand on top that's floating. Then you get a steel case for your game. Even if you buy a PC game, digital version, you still get the steel case. And lastly, you get another robe for your character, the Kelpie robe. I haven't seen confirmation if we would be able to buy that Kelpie robe separately outside of the collector edition, or if it's really part only of the collector edition. If you only care about gameplay, you probably don't care about it. Because to summarize, when you upgrade from the standard to the deluxe edition, you do have some gameplay impact, right? First of all, you can play 3 days earlier, and on top of that, you get the mount, the Testral mount, probably right from the start, right? So that could influence your gameplay, and you get access to the Dark Arts Battle Arena, so you may be able to train on those spells a bit easier. Maybe it's easier to level up, those type of things. Versus the Collector Edition, really just add cool things, but that are completely outside of the gameplay, right? Of course, now that you know what is inside each version, to really decide, you probably need to know the price. And that's where it gets a bit complex, because the price will depend on your console, it will depend on your location or your currency, those type of things. But let me show you the typical range in US dollars. Basically, when you move from old gen to next gen, you're adding $10. So the PS4 version is gonna be $60, the PS5 version is gonna be $70. And this is the same when you move from standard to deluxe. You add again $10. So if you're talking about old gen, you're moving from 60 to 70 to get the deluxe edition. If you're talking about new generation console, you're moving from $70 to $80. So just a $10 difference to get the deluxe. On the other hand, to get the collector, this is basically $300. Now, before I give you my opinion, is one thing I did wanted you to know is apparently you will be able to buy the Dark Arts pack separately later on. It's a bit like a DLC where, even if you buy the standard edition, if at some point you want to buy the Dark Arts pack, apparently you will be able to do it. On the other hand, we don't know the price for that though. So on version, personally, my 2 cents is if you're going to buy it, probably might as well just get the deluxe directly, while the collector edition with $300 for me way too expensive for what it is. Don't get me wrong, if you have the money and you want to go ahead. But I wouldn't say you're getting a lot of value for that amount of money. Now, secondly, should you pre-order or not? Well, obviously, they want you to pre-order, right, to drive sales early, so they're going to give you a small reason to do so. So basically, whatever the version, standard, deluxe, collector, again, even if it's the standard version, if you pre-order, you will get the Onyx Hippogriff mount. So another mount, so similar to the test roll if you're buying the deluxe, now you're getting this Onyx Hippogriff one apparently. If you pre-order for PS4 or PS5, so only PlayStation, you will also get the potion recipe for the Felix Felicis potion. Remember, it's a potion that's supposed to make you extremely lucky. So I guess in the context of the game, maybe it's something like it's going to be very hard for your opponents to land a spell on you, or maybe something like this. Do note that you will still have to brew the potion, right? It's just you get the recipe, but at least you have the recipe from the start. I personally haven't seen any official confirmation if non-PlayStation user will ever be able to discover that potion or not. I would be quite sad if we can't, so don't hesitate also to tell me in the comments below if you've seen that. But basically, once again, if you pre-order, you're getting something small. In exchange, you have the small risk of the game being terrible on release and then having to request a refund at this point. So I would say if you think you're gonna buy it, once again, probably just pre-order it. Now the third topic is an interesting one. It's physical or digital. I know that these days most people on PC will just buy the digital version, but for console, I do still know a lot of people out there who love to buy the physical, love to have the disc. Well, number one, apparently right now there's no difference in price between physical and digital if you buy it now. Of course, in the future that could change. For example, if you're buying a second-hand, a physical version, then could be cheaper, or it could actually also become more expensive if it becomes a collectible for people. Now, on the other hand, if you buy the digital deluxe edition, on top of your cosmetic Dark Arts in the Dark Arts Park, you also get a Dark Arts Garrison hat. We haven't really seen it, but you get it and your character will be able to wear it. If you buy the deluxe physical version, you don't get it for some reason. Don't ask me why. I guess the only reason why would be that they want you to buy the digital version. And the other reason, I guess, to go for the digital one and not the physical one could be that you really want to make sure you can play it right away at launch. And, if you buy the physical, it either needs to be delivered to you or it needs to be in stock when you go to the shop. And therefore, you could be delayed. Now, number 4, this is when we get into the complex things, the different platforms. Because the game is basically available everywhere, including the old-gen console and the Switch. So in terms of old-gen versus next-gen, you're gonna have a bit of pros and cons, right? You can buy it on PS4 and your graphics are probably gonna be lower than on your PS4, that's for sure. Loading time is gonna be longer, things like this. In exchange, you pay $10 less. On the other hand, if you're buying the Deluxe, you should definitely buy the PS4 Deluxe one, because with that, you get the free next-gen console upgrade. So basically, you're buying the PS4 and PS5 version just for $10 less. So that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. Now, should you take Xbox versus PlayStation? Well, I guess frankly, most people probably only have one or the other. So just buy on the console that you have. I certainly wouldn't suggest that you buy a new console just for this game, but you should note that the game has some PlayStation exclusive. I already mentioned that if you pre-order, you get the Felix Felicis potion recipe on PlayStation. But on top of that, even if you don't pre-order, even if you buy, after launch, on PlayStation, you will get the Haunted Hogsmeade Shop quest, which is definitely a gameplay impact, right? You will get a new full quest. We don't know how long it's gonna be, but definitely sort of a quest on its own. And with that, you'll also have the ability to own a shop in Hogsmeade. Don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to see a bit more about that quest. I do want to mention that again, this is exclusive to PlayStation, but only for 1 year. So if you're ready to wait for 2024, then everybody will have access to it. Now, outside of the console, you also have PC, of course. And as always, with PC, it gets even more complex because the quality of the game will be impacted by your actual computer, right? Versus on PS or Xbox, everybody gets the same experience. You have, on your computer, your GPU, your CPU, and all of this, that will impact your experience. And most of the time, it's actually hard to know exactly before testing on your exact computer. You can see here on the screen the current minimum and recommended specs, but once again, there's so many things impacting the experience that it's hard to tell on your exact computer. Now, looking at the specs, this is not impossible. This is not requiring, the latest 4000 generation of NVIDIA or those type of things. But if your PC is like 10 years old, you definitely will have a problem. On the other hand, if you have a great PC, you could even have better experience and graphics than PS5 or Xbox. And another reason maybe for PC is that in the near future after launch, either officially or unofficially, we can probably expect tons of mods to improve the game, to add to the game, which are always a lot harder to do on console. Now, you may not have a PlayStation or you may prefer playing on your PC, but you may be thinking that this game, because it's an RPG, it's an open world, will be, great to play with a console remote. Well, you're right, and don't worry about that. You can still buy it on your PC and connect a remote to your PC. For example, you can buy the PS5 console remote and just plug it, it's a USB cable, plug it on your PC, and it's gonna work, don't worry. And finally, we have the Switch. And the Switch is actually quite a different beast altogether because there's actually no release date for the Switch. Right? All of the other versions are coming out on the same day, on the 10th of February. For the Switch, we don't have an actual release date right now. It could come later, or it could actually come never. This has happened for a couple of other games in the last few years, but they initially said it would come on Switch and actually never did. On top of this, we don't exactly know if you'll get all of the functionalities, or the graphics will look like. So honestly, I really wouldn't wait for this. I think if you really want to play Hogwarts Legacy, don't wait for the Switch version, just buy something else. So let me try to recap. In my humble opinion, if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking about buying the game. So in that case, I suggest just pre-order it and likely go for the Deluxe Digital Edition. And for the platform, if you have a PS5 or PS4, go for that one. If not, whatever you have. But once again, if you have a PC, do try to check your specs. So maybe you upgrade your graphic card during Black Friday or for Christmas, if it's an old one, so you're ready for release. I hope this video was useful, was helpful. Please don't hesitate to share any questions, any comments that you have below. And also, as I said, don't hesitate to check the channel for more gaming news, guides and let's plays about Hogwarts Legacy and many other games. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.